यशोदनन्दना व्रजजनरञ्जना यमुनातीरा
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Ramarava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Statera Satashi Śrimad Jidandi Goswami Shilesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupada Paramahansa Parivajikacharya Statera Satashi Śrimad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Granta Raj Śrimad Bhāgavatam Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Jai, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. We're continuing our reading of Śrimad Bhāgavatam, 3rd canto, chapter 21, I believe, right? What is it? 31? Yes. 31. I have it here. It's okay. Let's see. Come on. What's going on here? Sorry. This thing is not behaving properly. Okay, there we go. Okay. Somehow the touch is not working. Oh, when technology works, it's great. When it fails, it's real pain. Everything just disappeared. Okay, so you have to pardon me now. I've got to, boy, I worked a lot on this. Now it's all gone. but I have to get it up at least. Okay. SB 331, 47, correct?
Yes.
And that's not working. Tasman, right? It begins, okay. Tasman nakarya santraso.
Tasman nakarya santraso.
Nakarmanyam na sambramaha.
Karpanyam na sambramaha.
Udva jivagatimdiro.
Jivagatimdiro.
Mukta sangascha dedriha.
Tasangascha dedriha.
Tasman nakarya santraso. Nakarpanyam na sambramaha. Budva jivagatimdiro. Mukta sangascha dediha. Tasmana karya santraso. Nakarpanyam na sambramaha. Budva jivagatimdiro. Mukta sangascha dediha. Get this back.
Tasmanakarya santraso. Nakarpanyam na sambramaha. Tasmanakarya santraso. Budva jivagatimdiro. Mukta sangascha dedriha. Tasmanakarya santraso. Nakarpanyam na sambramaha. Budva jivagatimdiro. Mukta sangascha dedriha.
Ladies?
Tasmanakarya santraso.
Tasmat, on account of death. No, not. Karyaha, should be done. Santrasaha, horror. No, not. Karpanyam, miserliness. No, not. Sambramaha, eagerness for material gain. Budva, realizing. Jivagatim, the true nature of the living entity. Dhiraha, steadfast. Mukta sangha, free from attachment. Charit, one should move about. Iha, in this world. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. Therefore, one should not view death with horror, nor have recourse to defining the body as soul, nor give way to exaggeration in enjoying the bodily necessities of life. Realizing the true nature of the living entity, one should move about in the world, free from attachment and steadfast in purpose. Purport. A sane person who has understood the philosophy of life and death is very upset upon hearing of the horrible, hellish condition of life in the womb of the mother or outside of the mother. But one has to make a solution to the problems of life. A sane man should understand the miserable condition of this material body without being unnecessarily upset. He should try to find out if there is a remedy. The remedial measures can be understood when one associates with persons who are liberated. The liberated person is described in Bhagavad Gita, one who engages in uninterrupted devotional service to the Lord, having surpassed the stringent laws of material nature, is understood to be situated in Brahman. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is beyond the material creation. It is admitted, even by impersonalists like Shankaracharya, that Narayan is transcendental to this material creation. As such, when one actually engages in the service of the Lord in various forms, either Narayan or Radha Krishna or Sitaram, he is understood to be on the platform of liberation. The Bhāgavatam also confirms that liberation means to be situated in one's constitutional position. Since a living entity is eternally the servitor of the Supreme Lord, when one seriously and sincerely engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, he is situated in the position of liberation. One should try to associate with a liberated person, and then the problems of life, namely birth and death, can be solved. While discharging devotional service in full Krishna consciousness, one should not be miserly. He should not unnecessarily show that he has renounced this world. Actually, renunciation is not possible. If one renounces his palatial building and goes to a forest, there's actually no renunciation, for the palatial building is the property of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the forest is also the property of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If he changes from one property to another, that does not mean that he renounces. He was never the proprietor of either the palace or the forest. Renunciation necessitates renouncing the false understanding that one can lord it over material nature. When one renounces this false attitude and renounces the puffed up position that he is also God, that is real renunciation. Otherwise, there is no meaning of renunciation. Rupa Goswami advises that if one renounces anything which could be applied in the service of the Lord and does not use it for that purpose, that is called Phalgu Vairagya, insufficient or false renunciation. Everything belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, everything can be engaged in the service of the Lord. Nothing should be used for one's sense gratification. That is real renunciation. Nor should one unnecessarily increase the necessities of the body. We should be satisfied with whatever is offered and supplied by Krishna without much personal endeavor. We should spend our time executing devotional service in Krishna consciousness. That is the solution to the problem of life and death. Om Aginatimindasya Gyananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Mukham Karoti Vachamam Bhangam Gayati Kripa Tamaham Mande So now I have to become detached. My last hour or so work, selecting verses, selecting purports, selecting words to use in this class, have disappeared from my computer. It's all gone. So, here we are. I will attempt at least to remember some of which I discovered or looked for. The first, when I read this verse and I read the purport, well, what comes to me? What are the words that really have poked in and said, okay, you should talk about that. And we see in this purport there that it's kind of divided into two themes, which are also related. The first theme is liberation. The verse gives us a term. Let's see if I can get to that at least. Okay, I'm going to close all that. Okay, all right. A term that we hear, and one of the verses that I'll hope to remember and quote will use this term. Mukta Sangha, Mukta Sangha, Mukta, 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 Mukti, Moksha, Mukti, freedom, liberation. When I first entered into this sampradaya of ISKCON and the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, it was in the early days of our movement, not the very earliest days, it was 1970. In Toronto, Canada. I happened to be there. And ISKCON Press at the time, it was known as ISKCON Press, had just begun publishing new volumes, new parts of the second canto of Śrimad Bhāgavatam. And I remember it was published initially chapter by chapter. Do you remember that? You saw okay. So just each chapter was published as a small little book. And I remember seeing this and just being mystified by it. But I also remember, and it's not actually in the, I don't think it's in the first canto, and this is one that I'm going to try to look up if I can. SB 1.2.6. Okay. Get there. This is in the purport, there's a statement by Srila Prabhupada that has stuck with me. I hope I've got the right one. No, I don't. Maybe it's 16. Anyway, I'll try to encapsulate it. And somebody may remember it. Prabhupada is speaking about the desire for freedom. You recall this? We are looking for the free light of the Spirit. That was the terminology. If anyone can find it, maybe it's 16. 1, 2, 16, I'm not sure. Anyway, Prabhupada's talking about the desire of the living being for freedom. Now, I was a child of the 60s. Of course, I wasn't born in the 60s, I was born in the 50s, but I was so-called caught up in the spirit of the 60s. And the spirit of the 60s was a spirit of freedom. Everything, we wanted freedom. We wanted to leave it all and be free. Free of obligations. Free of social restrictions. Free of cultural norms. And we attempted, we sloughed off the culture of the day, which kept us bound up in an identity, in a superficial world, trying to discover the free world. And then we found drugs. LSD, free the mind even. So, freedom, we were after freedom. Because that is the nature of the soul. The soul is seeking freedom. Why? Because it is by nature free. We are by nature free. We are in prison right now. We're not free. We're all encaged. We're birds that want to fly. Just this morning, I got out for some fresh air, and I've not done this before, but I'm sure all of you have seen the mural on the school next door, right? How many of you have gone in to look at it a little more closely? Anyway, so I never did, but today I did. I went up, and on the side, anyone seen this? Anyway, on the side, in very kind of faint writing, is a little poem saying, and I'll try to remember it, but it basically says, bring me your dreams, bring me your desires, and I'll wrap them up in clouds, and make them free of the what was it, the tough touch of this world. So it's an appeal to the children. Yes, the world outside is tough, but this school, I guess is what they're trying to say, the teachers and so on, we're going to help you feel free from this. And of course, we walk outside, and it's there again. And we grow up, it's really there again. And we get entangled. It's another term that we often utilize, entangled. We're encaged. We're entangled. We're not free. We look out to the sky and we see the birds flying and we think, could we just not fly? But no, we're stuck. We're stuck in these bodies. We're stuck in these minds. The body is constant source. We've been hearing this verse in this purport describes. It's saying, what is it? The purport Prabhupada talks about how the sane person should understand the miserable condition of this material body. Now, most of you are younger than me at least, and perhaps you've not gone through as many of the miseries that the body can inflict, but probably you've had some encounters. There's more to come. Well, Prabhupada at one point had some, he was some aches and pains, and he said, he turned to his young, 20-year-old disciples and said, don't think this won't happen to you. So, of course, I do recommend perhaps yoga and other things that may help to make it a little less miserable, but it's inevitable in this material world. This is dukkhalayam. Krishna declares this world, it is dukkhalayam, it is a place of misery. It is a prison. We are imprisoned, we're encaged, and we're not meant to be encaged, we're meant to be free. So we're aspiring for freedom. We want liberation. We want mukti. But what kind of mukti should we aspire for? Was it yesterday or Tuesday night? I was speaking with one of our guests who's been coming regularly and trying to really get into where he's at. And he, in our conversation, it came out that, I have a problem with this bhakti path, because I want the liberation. I want that freedom. He had some mystical experiences in his youth, he's still young, but some years back he'd had some visions of light. I don't know. I don't think most of you have indulged in LSD. Have anyone here? You have. Okay, a few of you. All right. Okay. Under the influence of these substances, there are some experiences that feel, at least, I know I've had some that, wow. And my conclusion was, hey, I'm God. Because God is everything, and I'm part of everything, and everything is one. And I am part of one, and you are me, and I am you, and we are all together, and we are all God, right? That's the concept of ultimate freedom, to become God. But what kind of God are we speaking of? This is the God of oneness, the one God. And this gentleman was talking about, this idea that I'm not that, or that there's a God who's above me. And that I have to serve and surrender to. That's a little tough. Because we associate with surrender and service with the opposite of freedom. I think it was yesterday, right? Today is the 20th. Yesterday was the 19th, right? Juneteenth. June 19th. The day in which slavery finally completely ended in these so-called United States of America. Although, I think it was 65, well, no, 60, was it 68 or? 67? 65, June 19th, 65. The Emancipation Proclamation, Lincoln had declared freedom for all enslaved people in 1963, but there was a civil war. It didn't actually come to pass until finally, don't remember the name of the general who marched into Texas, the last holdout of slavery in the America, and enforced this Emancipation Proclamation. Finally, slavery was done. Freedom! Freedom! Free at last! This call for freedom has resounded throughout our history. There's a popular, I've heard it on the radio, I think, sometimes, country and western song about living in America, where at least I know I'm free. Something goes like that. There may be all kinds of other problems, but at least I know I'm free. The land of the free, the home of the brave. This aspiration for freedom is innate to our core of our being. We want freedom, but we cannot get it in this world. Everything fails. And those who are a bit spiritually awakened, they look, they see, well, there must be a place, a state of freedom. And how can I achieve that? Well, I have to get rid of this material existence. What's keeping me bound is body and mind and senses, and this is all the entanglement. If I just get rid of it all, if I eliminate all desire, all feeling of separation, and I simply become one, I will be free. This freedom, this kind of freedom for us is hell. To lose our individuality, to become free by killing ourselves, basically. Yes, I'm the problem. I'm not free. I'm bound. I'm entangled. And this happens how often in prison? People enter into the prison, and they're so frustrated by the lack of freedom and the prospect that they're going to live their whole lives in this body, in this cage. They think, Let me finish it. They kill themselves, if they can. The risk of a suicide in prison is so high that those who are seen to be, especially the lifers and so on, and those who are on death row, they're especially, they're going to die, but they're not allowed to kill themselves. So they're protected from anything that they could use for that purpose. So this aspiration for freedom can never be fulfilled, truly fulfilled, by denying our individuality, denying our fundamental existence. But it can be fulfilled when we enter in to our actual nature as servants of Krishna. Servants of Krishna. Now, this same person was thinking, well, wait a minute. I don't want to be a servant. that kind of strikes me. I want to be free, the master. But is service to Krishna servitude, slavery? In fact, it's the greatest freedom, because we become situated in freedom from that which holds us back. When we enter into devotional service with full heart, with full enthusiasm, with full confidence, with full faith, we enter into unlimited opportunity. Unlimited opportunity. There's no more any constraint. The body is no longer a constraint. The mind is no longer a constraint. Because pure devotional service comes from the soul without any impediment. When that pure devotional service manifests without interruption, this is what is being described here. In one of the verses, Prabhupada refers to two, he doesn't give the verse references, but he refers to Bhagavad Gita and Bhāgavatam. And I looked them up and I think I found them. But now I'm going to have to try to rely on memory. But in Bhagavad Gita, I believe the verse that he's referring to, and help me out if I, Mam cho ya vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitya brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So here Prabhupada in this purport gives it, the liberated person is described in Bhagavad Gita, one who engages uninterrupted devotional service. So mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate. He, having surpassed the stringent laws of material nature, sagunan samatitya itan brahma bhuya. He achieves liberation. Brahma bhuya is another terminology for liberation. So liberation is the first theme of this purport and verse. But there's another theme, vairagya, which is also connected. To be free, to be liberated, to be free of this world, and this is a path that some of us have attempted. Just renounce it all, just give it all up, and we'll become free. But in this purport, Prabhupada talks about it, what's called Phalgu Vairagya. I don't have the reference, but it's in CC. If anyone can find it, it's in CC Madhya somewhere where the verse of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu where this is described is there. If you look for CC Madhya, I think it's, I had it looked up, and because I don't remember the full Sanskrit of this. Falgu Vairagya. How many of you have been to Gaya? No, I mean, we've been to Gaya. But there in Gaya is the Falgu River. So Falgu has different meanings. It can be, Prabhupada gives it as being a temporary meaning of Falgu, insignificant. But one of the interesting, perhaps the reason why Rupa Goswami uses this term Falgu Vairagya. Which verse? What is it?
False renunciation.
Huh?
False renunciation.
Yeah, but it is false, but is, yeah. The word is anashakti. The Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu says anashaktasya vishaya. No, excuse me. Prapanchi kataya budya hari sambandhi vastuna mumukshubi parityago vairagyam falgu katyate. Falgu Vairagya. So, Falgu River is interesting because there's no river there. On the surface, there's no water. It's a river with no water, very renounced. I've given up all water. Right? I am a river with no water. I am very renounced. But just beneath the surface of the earth, the river is flowing. So, Falgu Vairagya is that external renunciation while the river of desire continues to flow underneath. The Chaitanya Charitamrita verse that I was looking for describes this also as Markata Vairagya. I think, and I'm not sure if monkey is this, but it's basically monkey Vairagya. Yeah. So the monkeys, they live in the forest. They're naked. They have no, attachments. They live in trees. They have no, material possessions. They may try to steal yours in order to get some bananas. But what is their life? It's unending attempt to enjoy themselves in every respect, any way they can. Eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Watch out when they get into fights. Playing. Unending. There's no work for a monkey. All it is just attempting to enjoy this world. So externally renounced, no possessions, no clothing even. But the life is one of sense gratification. So we have to be, as we approach this freedom, this platform. And I took note of this also, that Prabhupada uses the term position of liberation or platform of liberation. Because often we may question, where are we? I mean, I speaking for myself, my devotional service is not exactly, at least in my mind, it's not uninterrupted, and I do sleep quite a, and so on. So I would say that and my attachments, I have attachments. Am I liberated? One of the other verses I was going to, where we began here talking about Mukta Sangha. Where do we hear the term Mukta Sangha? Every day we hear the term Mukta Sangha. If we go on Harinam, right? Who wants to say it? Kale dosha nide rajan nastyesha eka mahaguna kirtanaya eva krishnasya mukta sangha param vrijat. In this Kali Yuga, it's full of faults, but there's one great quality, that by chanting the holy names of Krishna, Mukta Sangha Param Vrijat, we can achieve this Mukta Sangha, not the highest platform of Mukta Sangha, simply by chanting. We're chanting. In some places in Srila Prabhupada's literature, we hear that by chanting just once pure holy names, we're liberated. So either I've never chanted even once the pure holy name, or I have to understand liberation perhaps in a different way. And I think this term platform of liberation or position of liberation is an aid. Because even though we may not feel liberated, I certainly don't feel liberated. You know, I got pain here. I've got various troubles in the mind sometimes. And, there's so many things. The gunas. Am I free of the influence of the modes of nature? I'm chanting japa in the morning, and I tell you, there is a mode that starts to creep on, and I fall asleep. I mean, that's not liberated stage. To fall asleep while you're chanting the holy names of Krishna, that must be the influence of the modes of nature, arising out of attachment to the body and the mind. I've seen that if I'm truly chanting, even if I was very, very sleepy, if I somehow get into actual, attentive, sincere chanting of holy names, sleep goes away. Because I'm approaching that transcendental world, beyond the influence of the modes of nature. Being situated in devotional service, being engaged in devotional service, even though we may not feel fully liberated, we may not experience full liberation and freedom. Krishna says, Sarva dharmam parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshaya shyasmi. You are free. This oft-quoted verse, Tatenu kampam shushamikshamano bhajane vatmakritam vipakam Hridvag vapu bir vitaton namaste vijeta yo mukti pade sadaya bhak. Mukti pade sadaya bhak. Mukti, a devotee, thinks that this effect of the world that I am undergoing is all due to my past conditioning and sinful life. I have this conditioning. I have these habits. I've been eternally bound, nitya bhada, in these modes of nature. There's bound to be some effect. And the devotee thanks the Lord for minimizing it, for reducing it. When there's some suffering, we think it could have been, I should have died, but I've got a cut. And what does he do? Hridvag Vapu Bhir, with his heart, with his body, with his words. He engages, he just goes on engaging in devotional service. And Brahma says that for that devotee, Vijayate yo mukti pade sadhaya that his liberation, his mukti is there. It's there. Just as one's inheritance is there so long as you. It's just there. And when the bequeather, that person who is bequeathed that inheritance leaves, it's there, it's yours. So in the same way, this mukti, this platform of liberation, by acting on the platform, because we're acting on the platform of liberation, we may not feel and experience this liberation, but we're on the position when we're engaged in devotional service. We're not getting karma. We're not getting entangled. We're not getting further bound up, as is the case with our captive state in this world, conditioned state. We're simply getting prepared. We're getting prepared. We may experience various things in this world, but Krishna is preparing us to come back to Him, to come back to Godhead. So we can be assured, we are confident. We can go on enthusiastically, with confidence and patience. Utsaha nishaya dharyat. These three come together. I speak of this sometimes, somehow it comes out often. That the three qualities, these are all connected. Enthusiasm, confidence, and patience. We're patient, we can be patient because we can be confident that our freedom is assured. The notices come. The parole officer or the probation officer, whatever, has already written out the form. The sentence is declared, it is commuted, and time is up. Our time is up. Thank you. Hare Krishna. I spent too much time fumbling around with things, and now we're out of time. So I got the signal to end, and I thank you. No time. It seems there's no time for questions, so I apologize, and I hope that at least these giving class like this is. I enjoy doing this because I'm just talking to myself. And that way I learn something. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.